Welcome to Part 8 of the World Composition video series. This short final video in the World Composition video series is for those people who don't want to spend an hour listening to long explanations of technobabble. So here's the condensed version. If you plan on working with massive size worlds, you're going to need a computer suitable for that purpose. A recommended starter computer system for up to 32 km by 32 km worlds would be a 16-core processor, 128 GB of memory, an RTX 3080 GPU, and a few large 2 TB or larger SSD or NVMe drives. A 16 km by 16 km world typically requires about 20 gigs of memory. A 32 km by 32 km world typically requires about 80 gigs of memory. A 44 km by 44 km world typically requires about 127 GB of memory to load all levels. A real-world example of a high tile count large map import. To test the Unreal Editor tile count maximums, I have successfully imported a 128 by 128 tile set, which is 16,384 total tiles of 253 by 253 size tiles, which is a 32 km by 32 km terrain. My computer system is an AMD R9 5950X 16-core, 128 GB, RTX 3080 with NVMe and SSD drives. Importing the 16,384 tiles required more than 5.5 hours. During the importing of the 16,384 tiles, the Unreal Editor consumed more than 33 GB of memory. Loading all tiles then consumed a total of 89 GB of memory. Loading or saving all of the levels takes more than 10 minutes on an SSD-based system. The final project on disk is 31 GB, and this is without any meshes or foliage. I won't be testing a 256 by 256 tile set, which is 65,536 tiles, since an estimated time to import would be up to 2 days. To give you an idea of some of the sizes of the data involved, for a 520 km by 520 km world using 64 by 64 tiles of 8129 by 8129 height maps, that's a total of 524 GB just in tile height maps. The Unreal Editor project size on disk would be at least 8 times larger than this tile height map size, at around 4 TB to 8 TB in size. A computer with at least 2 TB to 4 TB of memory would be required to load all of the levels. The bottom line is that the Unreal Engine World Composition System is essentially only good for worlds up to 64 km by 64 km, which is 4,096 square kilometers. For a world of this size, you will require a workstation with 256 GB or more memory to manage it. Perhaps if you have a really high-end workstation hardware, you might get up to 96 km by 96 km, which is 9,216 square kilometers, but expect to require 512 gigs or more system memory to manage it, and a lot of spare time waiting for things to load and save. However, I recommend not attempting to bother with any worlds larger than 32 km by 32 km. This would be 1,024 tiles using 32 by 32 tiles of 1,009 by 1,009 height maps. A computer system with 128 GB of memory is required to manage a world of this size, and the project size will weigh in at 30 GB minimum on disk.